we do use ChatGPT to help create the written assets that Podsqueeze generates.
From my perspective, I think the idea is genius.
There's so much content around podcasting, but up until now, the technology was still not there.
As Google understands that your business is about AI and podcasts, then they can see that it's relevant to what people are searching for.
And if you pay, you can disable it and you don't have to publish.
It's much better to pay for a tool that already has all of this work done.
Like, what can't be copied easily?
So you can just create a shareable link and then I can share it to anyone and they will have access to the results.
All right. So, again, another good episode coming up. We're absolutely excited to have Tiago with us. And, I've been just playing around with Podsqueeze, which is your company. And so far it looks real good. So I'm glad to have you with us. And I actually have immediately first question. You say that it's AI powered. Is it ChatGPT what you have inside there, or what's the deal?
Hey, first of all, thank you so much for having me here in your podcast. Yeah, it is ChatGPT. So we basically use another API for the transcription that is also AI based. I think all of these things now are AI based anyways. And then we do use ChatGPT to help create the written assets that Podsqueeze generates. So the show notes, the blog posts, everything goes through this amazing technology that was released a few months ago and it's kind of changing the world. So yeah, it is.
Yeah, for sure. But before we get started, even though, Mikael decided to jump right in, Tiago, it would be awesome to hear a little bit about yourself. And, based on the microphone that you have, you probably do podcasts as well yourself. So that's pretty awesome. Tell us a little bit about yourself. And obviously after that, maybe you could tell a little bit about the company and how the product came to be.
I love podcasting and I love to hear podcasts. I believe I first discovered podcasting with Gimlet Media. I don't know if you are familiar with, but it's basically a studio. They end up being acquired by Spotify later on. But the idea when they first started was really interesting. Was a podcast about how Alex Blumberg, the founder, was creating his podcast agency. So it's kind of recursive there, but it was really interesting because he really recorded everything, the low moments, and the high moments, the pitches, him speaking with his wife, all of this. And I found it so cool, so interesting. And then Gimlet Media, they produce a lot of other podcasts, and I started really getting into that. And then I discovered other, mostly around the topic of entrepreneurship, which is a topic that I'm really passionate about. Since forever that I've been wanted to start my own businesses. I have a software engineering background. I started working in tech companies, and then shortly, or actually more or less around the pandemic, I decided to leave my current job. I was working for a startup, and I decided to basically jump into my entrepreneurship calling. So I decided that I wanted to basically follow this passion and see if I was able to somehow get something to pay the bills. And immediately when I started, after quitting my job and getting my last paycheck, this anxiety started to cripple in, and I started to feel that what have I done? I was feeling like that, like, oh no, this might have been a huge mistake. I have no money coming in, and now from now on I'll be only basically using my savings. And because of that, I decided to start my own podcast. It was back then it was very spontaneous. I found this app called Anchor. Without even knowing, I just grabbed my phone and started recording what was going through my mind, which was all of this anxiety and everything. And I decided that I wanted to start this podcast. It's called the Wannabe Entrepreneur Podcast, and it narrates my own journey through the entrepreneurial world. And kind of things started moving alongside that, and it was kind of snowballing. I started to interview other people as well. I started to know more about this world of indie hacking and bootstrapping, which basically it's the idea of you starting a company without any external investment. And I started building my first businesses. I started building a community, paid community. I started building a lot of business around, but nothing really paid the bills. I was still 1 year and a half in, and I was still fighting for survival and to basically pay my expenses. I started doing as well a little bit of freelancing, and then ChatGPT just popped up, and I thought, wow, this is amazing. This is going to disrupt our lives. The technology here, it's something that it's a huge leap. And back then I was talking with my current co-founder, João, who is also an entrepreneur, and we were just brainstorming ideas, and we were just thinking, hey, what shall we do with this new technology? Because I have this feeling that this will solve a lot of old problems that already exist, but this technology will just make them much easier to solve. So because I have the background in podcasting, one of the ideas was that, okay, there's so much content around podcasting that it's audio content, but up until now, the technology was still not there to actually repurpose this content in an automatic way. There was a lot of transcribing services, but they were often not good. But then I thought, wait, now GPT, it's so smart that you can actually give input that is not 100% correct, and it's smart enough that will basically regenerate.
It's gonna figure out.
Yeah, and figure out everything.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the idea of why we came up with Podsqueeze. Is our tentative to help podcasters repurpose their content with just a click and in a few minutes. And that's how we came up with the idea.
Where are you located, by the way, Tiago?
Both of us are in Lisbon, Portugal.
Awesome. It's kind of like a hotspot for digital nomads and for many entrepreneurs, seeking a new home.
Yeah, in the past maybe 5-6 years, it's been growing a lot, and a lot of digital nomads are here. But to be honest, I think we could have started this business from anywhere because it's a online business anyway. So
yeah, of course,
that's very true.
Yeah, it's kind of like born global, right? Like when you start from day one, you're basically a global business. But did you self-fund yourself?
Yeah, completely. We are fully bootstrapped, and because of that, we wanted to be profitable from day one. So it's all coming from our savings, and mostly we invested our time rather than our money. We needed to invest the money to pay our bills, but besides that, we build everything from João is a designer and an entrepreneur. I do the development. He also does a little bit of front end, and we basically built the whole platform by ourselves, of course, using the external APIs.
Okay, that's awesome. So maybe now it's a good segue for you to maybe show the product. Maybe you could show some of the best features of the product. I'm sure it'd be awesome just to see how it works. From my perspective, I think the idea is genius because a lot of people, podcasters, they have, their episodes, but they could create blog posts based on it. They could, send newsletters. They could create, show notes, chapters. And I think your, service pretty much covers everything I mentioned. So I think it'd be pretty awesome to see how it works.
What is your process at the moment, by the way? Do you repurpose your content in any way?
So exactly, I think it's a very, very good question. So the idea is, and this was the idea originally why I got excited to have you, be our guest, is that I wanted to actually give Podsqueeze a try because currently we don't repurpose it, pretty much like in any way because it's time consuming and, it already is an investment to do editing and all of that good stuff. So I was thinking like, hey, this could be a really interesting tool. And that's the reason why we reached out to you, right? And really thankful for you to be here. But the idea was that, hey, if I could, with a few clicks, repurpose the content so that it doesn't cost me arm and a leg, that'd be pretty sweet. And that's basically the idea. So I had a selfish reason for reaching out to you.
It's funny because we have two main clients. One are kind of big agencies that were already doing this. They were basically paying people on Fiverr, or they have their own team to listen to the whole interviews, the whole episodes, and write everything down, and that would be more expensive and would take more time, obviously. And for those clients, that's a no-brainer because they're like, okay, even though you still have to edit a little bit and everything, it's just so much faster. So for those clients, it's a no-brainer. And then it's like podcasters like myself or I guess you guys as well, where it just opens up this possibility. Before you couldn't do it because you just didn't have the funds or you didn't have the time, but now you can do it because it's just so much faster. So, okay, it's cool to know that you are there. Let me then quickly share my screen. So basically, this is the landing page. It's very simple, and you can just start for free. We offer 50 minutes for free that you can use. So you can just do that and try it out. Or if you have a small podcast or a short podcast, you don't actually need to pay. You just have the 50 minutes. This is like
Is it audio only or audio and video?
At the moment, it's audio only, but you can also upload your video, but we'll just use the audio. So when you click in generate content, there's two ways for you to input your content. One is with your RSS ID. To be honest, this is more to test because most people want to generate the assets before actually uploading their content to their host provider. So normally people use this where you can just pick up a file, audio file or audio file.
Mm-hmm.
You can select the language. We do support multiple languages, and you can generate it. If you go through the RSS ID, you can just click here, and it basically loads all your episodes. This is my own podcast, and
you've been busy.
Very busy. Yeah. In the beginning, I was basically releasing every day, so that's why it's funny.
Oh my God.
But I don't recommend
Consistency. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's the magic.
Yeah. Then you basically generate, and then you wait a little bit here, and it takes a little bit, like between 5 to 10 minutes to generate. But I can already show you some content that is generated. You go here on dashboard. I have so many because I've been doing so many tests that my dashboard is kind of it's a little bit crazy here, but I think maybe this one. So some of them are really so this is basically one of the contents here. Here the transcription is not available anymore because it's only available for a few days, but basically you get the show notes. Oh, this one is actually in a mixture of Portuguese. Let me just maybe find another one.
Yeah,
you can do multiple languages as well.
Maybe an English one,
maybe this one. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I think, looks like English at least.
Yes. I've done a lot of testing here. This is just for you to show. Maybe don't follow too much the results because I've done here some tweaking. But you get here the transcription, for instance, with the speakers and everything. This is a very short episode.
And you can download it, right? As a
correct.
SRT
you
or
can
something.
download it, or you can copy it to clipboard. Then you get here the show notes. These ones are funny because once you get the show notes, you can actually tweak them using GPT. So you just write here your queries, and this one was edited by me previously. I told it to write it as it was a pirate, so that's why you see here me this one. Anyways, you can also then edit funny. Here. You can just go here and say, hey, I don't want this, so that you can just copy. You can download it. You can copy to clipboard, and then you can edit using GPT. Like start with a question or an engaging. Okay, let's see if it works. I don't know if it will work because it's already kind of a mixture with the pirate thingy, but so here, as you can see, then if you
so it's
but couldn't decide between use MacBook Pro or M1 MacBook Pro, and so now it's kind of edited, and then you can just accept the changes or not. So we are trying to make this also editable, and there's so many new features that we want to introduce because we want We know that if ChatGPT sometimes it won't give you the best result out of the bat. So we know that we want to allow it to be personalizable so that people can just use, and then they can also save their own queries so that they can just apply them in the next time they're re-uploading another episode. So yeah, we also have the timestamps here. This one again is a very short episode, but it basically shows you a quick introduction and when the timestamp starts, and then it tells you like speaker one discussers. In this case, it didn't know who was the speaker one, but you can just say like speaker one name is Tiago. I don't know, something like this. Hopefully it'll work. Okay, so see now it says Tiago discuss. Okay, it changes this. So yeah, you have the timestamps as well. We also have tweets. I'm a big Twitter fan, so that's why we have Twitter here, but we might introduce as well other social media. So basically a bunch of tweets here about this episode that you can basically just copy paste to your Twitter. You can schedule them, etc. So it's very easy to repurpose these contents. Some ideas for titles, a bunch of titles here that even if you don't just copy paste it directly, it's great to have ideas and suggestions to create titles for yourself. Links, so it goes through your episode and basically checks out things that you mentioned. You mentioned Linux, mentioned Trivago, Reddit, and it says also when the host mentioned those links or those tools. We have a short post as well, which the idea here is to be a short post that you can just use it on Reddit, or you can use it on I don't know, Indie Hackers or some short website. You can use it.
Yeah, like a short brief description.
Exactly. We have a newsletter, which is kind of a extended summary of the episode. The idea is that maybe if you want to create a newsletter for people that don't want necessarily to listen to you, but they want to read, they're more visual people, you can just repurpose your content that way.
That's actually really convenient. Yeah.
It's something that I'm still not using in my own podcast, but it's something that I'll probably be using soon. And this one are quotes and keywords that were not generated here, because I believe we're always introducing stuff. So we introduced the quotes and the keywords recently. So I believe that this podcast, this episode was uploaded before the quotes were available. And now I might struggle to find... hey, here. Okay. So here you can see some quotes. So Rosie Sherry says, I guess I started something, I helped her. So this are quotes that are taken from the interview directly. So they are not changed. So this is exactly how, it's not really marketing, it's just community. This kind of quotes that you can just copy paste and you can use it. And you can also see where they were mentioned, etc. And then the keywords here are just like for YouTube, for instance, you can just copy these keywords, and it's just also very convenient. Yeah, and then besides that, the one feature that we recently introduced, like we are always having feedback and we really want to build this with our clients, but it's the shareable link. So some of our clients want to share the results with their clients or with their co-hosts, etc. So you can just create a shareable link, and then I can share it to anyone, and they will have access to the results. And yeah, that's basically it.
Will they be able to also make some adjustments, tuning? Do they have access to that, or is it just to view the results?
At the moment, it's just to view the results. We do have a lot of people asking for the possibility to add more people to their accounts so that everyone can manage. It's still not there, but we have so many people are asking for this that we'll definitely introduce this soon.
So what do you have on your roadmap? What's going to happen next? What is your plans?
Yeah, so just for you, the listeners to understand, we started this in March, right? So it's been, roughly 2 months.
That's crazy.
So that's actually the product that you are seeing here. It's still it's 2 months of work, but there's still so much things that we can do introduce, right? We believe that the main things are already there, but we want to build this with our clients. We are building this for our clients. Therefore, most of the ideas come from them. So some ideas are what I just mentioned, so that you can share your account and add other people to your account. Small things, small details, for instance, changing your email, things that are not necessarily super important for the content, but it makes the usage of the tool much easier and much more professional, much more mature, that like big agencies can use it. So our goal here is that as a small podcaster or as a big agency, both of these two parties can use our tool. It's quite a challenge because you need to keep it simple yet complex. You know what I mean?
But maybe a question that I always have at the back of my head is that, because you are using obviously ChatGPT and probably something like Whisper API or something similar to that for transcribing. So what do you think is your competitive advantage? Because unfortunately, a lot of people have access to ChatGPT, or maybe fortunately, depending on how you look at it. What do you think is the secret sauce here that cannot be copied easily? Because now there are so many ChatGPT based tools popping up. And every time I'm asking myself, like, hey, like, what is your secret sauce? Like, what can't be copied easily?
Artem, that's a great question. It's something that we definitely thought about, and we were a bit scared at the moment. At first, we actually thought, hey, now GPT-4 might even introduce the possibility of just uploading your audio, right? Like, are they going to take out us, basically become a serious competitor? And after building this, we started to realize that no, because we have a lot of our work has been in kind of tuning the prompts, and we spend so much time just tuning the prompts and just finding the right prompts that will yield the best results is something that takes so much time that if a person that will have to pay anyways, right? So because GPT is not free, right? They will anyways have to pay. It's much better to pay for a tool that already has all of this work done, where they can already edit, where they can share with their clients or co-hosts, it's a tool just for podcasters, right? So it's even though yes, you can do it with GPT and Whisper, for instance, if you have the skills to use those APIs. It's still much more convenient to use a tool like Podsqueeze. So actually, we are not worried about that at all.
So how did you create the part that it takes the sound and transforms it to the readable content for the ChatGPT? How did you do that?
That's also an API. It's an API.
All
It's a service. We just send them the audio and get the transcription. Like biggest.
Okay, got it. Yeah, because
Yeah,
I'm not a coder. I don't
services.
know. I'm not a coder. I don't know. The technical parts.
Sorry, Adam. The biggest issue with GPT 3.5, we are still not using GPT-4. Hopefully with GPT-4 this will be better. Is that GPT 3.5 only allows inputs in chunks. So you have a maximum limit of inputs. And obviously a transcription of a website is so much bigger than the input that we have to create some logic from our side that would manage this. So going back to your question, Artem, especially with GPT, ChatGPT 3.5, for sure it's not a competitor because people need to, create their chunks and everything. For GPT-4, which we also want to use because they increase their limits much more, they can maybe just copy and paste their transcription. But yeah, as I said, there's so many great features that we introduced that we're not worried about that competitor.
Yeah, I think basically it comes down to convenience. Your program and your solution is so convenient. It's easy, and people are willing to pay for that. And with ChatGPT, basically now the infrastructure is there, it's available, but you have to have very technical skills, and you have to still invest time to understand how it works to get the best results. And so there will be a lot of tools like yours that basically make using ChatGPT or different APIs more accessible, more convenient. And I think if you focus on adding useful features, and most importantly, and I think this is the one of the most important things when it comes to startups. If your velocity is very good, you listen to your customers, you make modifications, introduce new features. If the velocity of this feedback loop is quick enough, I think you will be able to adapt to market changes, you'll be able to adapt to evolving needs of your customers and so forth. So I think it does make a lot of sense. And of course, you can then connect other things like translating to different languages. So you could create subtitles in many different languages, right? You
Video.
could introduce, for example, if there are already chapters, you can already maybe do like editing, so you can create short bite-sized clips, right? Based on the quotes that may be mentioned during the podcast episode. Maybe you can start supporting video, and once you start supporting video, I think that's where it becomes really interesting, because if you were able to create short kind of like vertical videos, right, for like YouTube Shorts or TikTok based on timestamps or something similar, that'd be really, I think, kick-ass, because that saves so much time, in terms of editing, right? If you could create a template and then using that template, it would automatically create shorts of the most important highlights. Something like that could really, really, I think, be awesome. I'm wondering, like, what is your tech stack? Like, what did you use to build the service? Like, are you using, I don't know, like React, JS, Mongo? Like, now Mikael will probably be bored, but I'm just curious.
So our tech stack is pretty much very, very simple. The front end is React based. The back end are Google functions using Python. So it's very, very simple, but still very scalable, right? So that's basically it.
And can you explain for the people who are not tech savvy why that is such a convenient way to do it?
So it's a great question. I hope that I don't disappoint. So the idea here is that we don't have to manage the infrastructure. We don't need to worry about servers. We don't need to worry about scalability, which means if we suddenly have more people accessing our website, it just scales by itself. We don't have to go and quote unquote create more servers or doing anything like that. Everything is managed by Google, so it's been working really well. There's of course also some disadvantages to this way of doing things, but it's always what I use when I'm starting something new, because it's very fast and very scalable. Maybe in the future we might change it, but to be honest, so far I'm really happy, and we got already a lot of traffic coming in, especially when we did our product hunt launch, and it worked seamlessly. Our infrastructure always was able to respond perfectly. So that's why since we are only two of us, this is really helpful, because we don't have to worry about the whole infrastructure, scalability, and all of that.
Basically, if you think about it, like, maybe I could provide additional information. So traditionally, you have your software, you put it on a server, and when you have like many requests coming in, server cannot keep up, you have to get another one, then you have to put load balancer in front of them, so it spreads the load to two servers. Now 2 servers is not enough, you're adding, one server goes down, you have to take it out of rotation. So all of this management basically goes away, because Tiago packages his Python code in a specific way, and he sends it to Google and says like, hey, I'm gonna pay you for every single execution. I don't care how much hardware it requires. I don't care. I'm just gonna pay for execution. And that way Google puts it on their infrastructure, and it automatically scales it. So basically Tiago never pays for the infrastructure if he's not using it. He only pays when he makes a call, and the feature, the software is executed, and then it dies, and then it waits for another call. So basically it's kind of like it's I think like serverless solution basically that Google offers, but there are others. There is AWS Lambda and Edge functions and so forth. But it's pretty awesome. I'm trying within my company, I'm trying to get people excited about serverless architecture. So I think it's really good to hear that you are actually using it and you have deployed it in production environment and you are happy. The only question that I have is that, like, what downsides did you see? And I promise, Mikael, we're gonna stop very soon. I promise.
No,
What
I find
downsides
this,
did
I
you
find this
see
very interesting. Yeah, this is
Uh,
yeah, I know the main stuff, but yeah, go ahead, Tiago.
First of all, like the code is very spaghetti. Like it doesn't scale well, right? So
okay.
the more functionalities you want to add, you either split into more functions, which is something that I might do in the future. Otherwise, you basically have everything in the main, kind of. So it's harder to read,
Okay.
especially if now I would onboard more developers. I guess it would not be super easy to read that code. So that's one problem as it scales up. The other problem is also that this, which is not really a problem, but these functions do have a timeout. So for
Yeah.
example, when I'm working with GPT, sometimes GPT is really unstable. Sometimes they are just down or they are super slow.
Yeah.
And you probably already noticed that if you use the UI, GPT UI. So I need to find a way.
Of course.
Our functions will, I think they can still run for 9 minutes, which is a lot. But yeah, then sometimes they'll just time out, and we need to find other ways to just recall that function. So you need to think a little bit differently. You cannot structure an API so well like you do maybe with Flask or with Spring Boot or something. So if you're working with a big team, it might be a bit harder. But for only one person so far, I don't know. I love it. I really enjoy it. I don't need to worry about like Kubernetes, or I don't need to worry about any, extreme backend stuff. I just put it there and it works. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now maybe for something that everybody can enjoy. So when you started your company, you probably incorporated in Portugal, or I don't know, like how did you handle that? But anyway, you have your product, you got your MVP. How did you get your initial customers?
Yeah,
like
what was your market
like how did you approach potential customers, or did you do paid advertising? Obviously you probably went to like indie hackers or maybe some other communities and released it there. You mentioned Product Hunt as well, so maybe you could talk a little bit like how did you get your first initial paying
Good
customers?
Question. First of all, as I told you in the beginning, I've tried already many things. I've tried many other projects, and when I was interviewing in my interviews here, when I interviewed when I interviewed indie hackers, I interviewed some that were still struggling and some that did really, really well. Some that are now making maybe 30, 40, 50 K MRR, right? I even interviewed, I don't know if you know Peter Levels, which is making 2-3 million a year only with this project, and it's basically working alone. And there's one big difference between the ones that are still kind of struggling and the ones that reach this kind of success, which was their customer acquisition. Some of them really had to fight hard for their customers. Each customer was a win, and they have to somehow to convince them. And a lot of them, or the others that actually got really successful, for them it was much easier. The customers were lining up, giving them their passwords, giving everything. They just wanted to use their product. So that's what I was looking for. And that's what we found with Podsqueeze. So that's also something really important, which is people really want to use Podsqueeze. From the beginning, we had so many problems at first, and people wouldn't give up. They wouldn't just close their window and continue their lives. No, they would just go on the chat or send emails. They really wanted to use. So I think there was some kind of product market fit from the start. With that said, we started very simple by sharing on Twitter. I have around 2,500 or something followers on Twitter, on Reddit, and with all these directories around AI, which is great, right? So we are also kind of surfing this AI wave, and everything that is AI based will get some traction.
Yeah.
And from the start, we got much more traction than any of my projects before. Yeah, so that's kind of how we started. and it was kind of started growing. We got a few paying customers that way, and then you'll be probably surprised about our main source of customer acquisition, which is cold emailing. Yes.
Wow. Okay, tell
So
me more about that.
Like basic,
Yeah.
basic
Yeah,
outreach.
there's a ton of databases with for podcasters with their emails, because in our RSS feed normally there's your email there. I don't know if you know about this, but the email is there, so you can
Okay.
actually
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
some
yeah.
databases that gives you the RSS feeds, and you can just go there and fetch the emails. And there are also some paid tools where you can also get the emails. And we decided to just start sending emails to these people, cold emails, cold outreach, and to say, hey, my name is Tiago. I have this tool. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. I want to see your feedback because you're a podcast and is this useful? And around 40% of our customers, 50% of our customers are coming from this cold emailing.
Very smart. Yeah.
Wow.
You know, I've seen, because we do a lot of email outreach, so basic cold emailing and all that. There's this like new wave of email marketing and cold email stuff. You know, when it's done properly. The old stuff where you just put stuff, things on MailChimp and just start shooting mass stuff, that doesn't work. But when you're doing it like you did, you actually found very good audience for that one who actually can resonate your message. Then it for sure, it's one of the best ways to get.
Yeah, definitely, Mikael.
Right.
And one interesting thing is that people actually thank us for the cold email. I've never seen this before, Yeah, normally it's like, hey, stop, you spammer. Yeah, we got actually emails of people saying like, hey, I normally don't like cold emails, but thank you for sending this. This is amazing. So it's crazy.
What do you use when you do cold emailing? Like, what do you use? Like, do you automate it in any
to
way?
be honest, it's really funny. Like we started by basic going on Gmail. We didn't even have our own domain yet or email, and we just went on the BCC, and I had like tons of emails, and I was sending, and it was working, but suddenly got blocked. Gmail just blocked our account. We tried to appeal. They said no, and suddenly this was also kind of our main account that we're using for all of our services. They're like, I don't care. Like, you don't access this account anymore. I kind of begged, like, please, I will stop. Like, no, sorry, you have no more access to this account. I was like, okay, motherfucker. You're really annoying. So then we created our own domain. We are using Zoho for our email
hosting.
And I basically also use SendGrid that also offers an API. I was using it before and it worked. So I have kind of a script that wakes up every day and sends, X amount of emails using this API. So far, actually, it's been working fine. Actually, today, our account was put into review. So I hope we can solve this issue. I don't know why SendGrid will do this.
I recommend that you should start using Lemlist. We use Lemlist a lot. And then just open another domain, just like Podsqueeze.com or Podsqueeze.io or whatever, and create there a Gmail account, just like a regular Google Workspace account. And then, you add that to the Lemlist, so that Lemlist can start to warm up your email account, and then it creates you to look like you are a person, and then it starts to send one-to-one emails. We've been using that a lot, and has been working 100% of the time.
Cool.
Never had any problems with all of our clients and customers, and also we always get to the primary inbox, never to spam, never to categories or anything.
How many emails do you send per day?
Like 50 a day per account.
50?
So like,
okay,
yeah. So like you can send up to 100, but then you are close to this ghost limit of what Google is because they have this like restrictions that they are not going to tell you. So if you have a brand new account, like brand new Gmail account, and you start sending like 20 or more per day, then they're going to ban you.
Right.
You have to warm it. So Lemlist is also doing you the warm up. So it's called they're like sub company. So Lemwarm is the name for it. So then you warm it up like 4 weeks, and then when it's done, it gives you this score when like when you can actually start using it, and then just start your campaigns. You can do A/B testings. You can do like all sorts of stuff. You get all the data out of it, and yeah, it uses Gmail. So you can do your own DKIMs, SPFs, DMARCs, and all that. So yeah, start using that one. You can do easy and safe with 50 per day. You can probably go to like 70, 80 per day, but you could just do like a couple of accounts and put them there. So then you get, like we have one client that we have 10 accounts. So it says like 500 a day, one to one.
Just for you to understand, Mikael, we are sending 4,000 a day. So
well, that's the problem. Then if you're doing that, then you always end up in a situation where, you get.
But if you don't use, use your own domain, I guess problem. If you don't use Gmail, you can expand your limits, right?
It depends who you are. Do you mean like using Google?
No, if you just use
Gmail, but just
something at Podsqueeze or tpodsqueeze.com,
No, in Google Workspace you create your own domain.
But you still have the limits. Okay.
Yeah, you still have them. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I guess what Tiago is asking, like if you use your own domain, can you not use Gmail? Can you use like something else, or like how does it?
Of course,
work?
we'll use Outlook or whatever. Doesn't matter where you connect your domain name. But you always end up in the same situation because if it's run by Microsoft or Google or whatever, these main providers, then they always ban you because they don't want spammers, and that's why they ban you. And then if you want to use ActiveCampaign or MailChimp or whatever mass marketing tool, then that's definitely not gonna work because you always go to spam. Many times, and that's why it's not working either. And also, it's not GDPR, all right? So there's also that.
There's also an issue.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, there is no easy solution, but what one thing you might consider is that if you generate list of email addresses, you can actually upload them to pay-per-click advertisement systems, so you could target advertising to those email addresses, so only those people would see the advertisement. It's not maybe as cost effective, and it's not indie hacker friendly maybe, but it's one way maybe to go around the limitation.
Good point.
But I think Mikael is absolutely correct. So the banning doesn't happen on the sender side. The banning happens on the receiver side. So if you send a lot of emails, Gmail will actually shadow ban your account. It's basically would say like, hey, if this email sends, emails to Gmail users, disregard it or put it straight to spam or something, because it sees that, so many emails are coming.
Okay, yeah,
that's true. And then you can get your address to blacklisted, and then it's really hard to get it out. So
good to know.
So if you're doing cold emailing, and especially with those numbers, definitely don't use your own domains, because then it's gonna just affect on everything.
That's a good point.
That's something that you don't want.
That's very valuable. Thank you.
One thing that comes to mind, and I think this is in terms of like marketing, I really like SEO, when it comes to marketing, because it's very powerful, it's scalable, it's cost effective. And I think because you understand your target audience like really, really well, you could create something really, really powerful. Like, for example, you already you already work as kind of like a, podcast hosting in a sense. You already store the files, right? You have the files, right? You already store the files, and you can put something like Cloudflare CDN, so that, the CDN provides unlimited bandwidth, so you don't have to worry about it. So why don't you allow podcast creators, especially those who are just getting started, to create a profile like right away for their podcast, so that it basically, and it will use subdomain like podcastname.podsqueeze.com, and that way basically you will generate enormous amount of content show notes, transcriptions, and you will provide value because they already upload episodes to you anyway.
Yeah.
They just click create profile page and boom, that's it. Player, show notes, quotes, whatever.
I've been pitching this idea to my co-founder Joel for some time now. There are a few problems with that because mostly people, they want to use this content to boost their SEO in their own websites, right? So if you are,
of
you
course,
cannot have duplicated content, otherwise it will damage theirs. One option that we are considering is to create this kind of search engine for podcasts where you can create your own kind of profile for each one of your episodes. You can define what content you want to show there, and then people can actually search for it either on Google or in our own search box. And then you can, let's say you want to search for a specific topic, you want to search about email marketing, for instance, then it would pick up this episode and say, hey, they are speaking about it in this timestamp. So you can actually read it or listen to it. We're going to do this, and I think this will be definitely a great idea to bring some, SEO marketing or some nice organic traffic.
Yeah, I think the service that I used before, I think it was ChatGPT. I think there was already something like that. I think it was Listen Notes or something similar. But I think there was a service where they actually crawl, different podcast feeds. Then they get the audio file. They use Whisper or something similar to transcribe it. They put it in PostgreSQL. They put full text search on it, and then they allow you to search basically, and it will automatically, like if you're searching for a specific phrase, it will show you in which episodes it's appear. And then if you click on it on a specific episode, it will actually rewind to that specific part when this phrase is mentioned, so that you can go like really deep into it. But I think you can be very smart about this. So first of all, you can ask people, like this could be a feature that you turn on or turn off.
Yeah.
So if I want public profile, then I can put on or off. But another thing that you could, be really smart about, you could use something that many companies already use, like GitHub and Gitbook and many others. So if you use free version, you have to publish, for example. And if you pay, you can disable it and you don't have to publish. So that could be something like interesting. So there is a trade-off. Like, hey, if you want to pay, all up to you. And like big agencies or even, podcasters like us, we don't mind paying, especially, I'm going to actually, in this episode, I'm going to use Podsqueeze to generate all the assets, and I will see how it works. And if we run into any problems, I will chat with you then on the website and let you know. But I think it's gonna go really, really well. So I'm just thinking that you have access to so much really cool content through assets of your clients, and if you respect their wishes, but you create some sort of mechanism for you to leverage it, I think there'll be a lot of benefit in terms of SEO.
Absolutely right. I think that's definitely one of the things that is also in our roadmap. We are just trying to take care of all the crucial features for our paying users because we are still growing. Every day we are growing, and we are quite happy with that at the moment. We want to improve also our transcriptions. We are working with other services that will provide better transcription and everything. And probably that will be something maybe in the near future that we'll be introducing something like that. But it's very, very good. Thanks for the input, Arthur.
Of course. And just general SEO, because you know the target customer really well. If you write good articles, SEO optimized articles, I think that will already be like really huge, because people, if you use something like Answer the Public or even like Google Ads, Keyword Planner, you can see what people are searching for. So if you just put podcast and then, for example, how, and it will show you all the search terms, where there is how and podcast. So you will see all the questions people ask Google, how to do this in podcast, how to do that in podcast. and you could create like articles that specifically answer those questions, and you will start appearing
What
in
tool
search
is that?
results.
Yeah, and you can
So I
answer
can
the
actually
public.
show it. Yeah. So I can actually.
And now,
Mhm.
while Artem is finding its own,
Yeah.
now Neil Patel bought it some time ago.
Yeah.
So now they are embedding it to Uber Suggest, which is the Neil Patel's own like SEMrush basically. And I've been using SEMrush and all those, but now that we started to use Uber Suggest, and it's actually really good. Now, especially that the answer to the public is embedded into, so it can generate to ideas based on what people are searching for.
Interesting.
And
Yeah.
with
So-
Uber Suggest, it can search all this other data for it.
Yeah, and here, as you can see, I didn't even need to log in or anything. You can do
They
like
give
one
you a
or
couple
two.
of free ones.
Yeah, they give you a couple of searches a day for free. And here, you see all the questions that people ask regarding podcasts.
And then you
So
ask
for
ChatGPT to write article for all those.
Yeah. So how podcast marketing, how podcast helps your business, how podcast on Spotify, and then what podcast was Cole Sprouse on? Okay, that's not really. Why podcast is the best platform to use?
And all the like really
Which-
red ones are the ones that people are searching the most.
Yeah,
And
the most.
and so it's good.
How podcasts make money, how to create podcasts, how to upload, how to make an intro. So basically, this is just a treasure trove of content marketing ideas, right? And because you are really, I think, good in terms of just like your own podcast, you're really very prolific podcaster. What you actually could do is you could create maybe tutorials, or maybe just like work on the content marketing side of things. Yeah, because I think you'll be really good. You're very charismatic. You're very positive. Even if you create like videos, right, and then you can based on those videos create blog posts, so you would have the video and the textual content, so that
and especially
you
because
benefit from both.
You're also passing with the Core Web Vitals assessment. I just went and checked it out. So then you also now have the organic boost. So whenever you're doing any kind of these articles that Artem showed you, you're gonna get easier ranking
What did
than
you
others.
mention that we passed what?
Google's Core Web Vitals. It's the I can show you.
I'm getting
I
a
can show you
masterclass
your own
on
data.
getting a masterclass on marketing here.
Yeah, that's what we do. Yeah, the idea here is that we get excited and we want to help. We want to provide value, not just you telling us about
cool. I
your
didn't
business,
even
but
check
also
this.
we want to provide as much value.
Yeah. So what this means is that Google did this. I think it was last year, or it was I think it was last year's August, or maybe it was the year before. I don't remember anymore. But anyway, it's like a 1 or 2 year new thing. But this affects on your organic views a lot, and your past, which is not very usually people don't pass it. They suck with these ones. So that's why your mobile one is passing it, which is very good, and also the desktop is passing. And in the SEO wise,
97.
you could put a little bit more effort, but 90 is all right. But you can get better because there's not much what you can do. So couple of
78. Okay.
Just let's see the SEO part. So you don't have all attributes. So use the add all attributes, and that should be fine with that one. Otherwise, it's fine.
Interesting.
So I mean, what I'm just saying here is that you pass it CWV. So then whatever you do with your organic stuff, you get easier ranking. It's not immediate. It's not like 100%. You get to first page, but you have easier way to rank than
Very
others.
interesting. How do I get to this page?
And it's
speed
because you have
insight?
built your site very well.
Yeah, so it's just pagespeed.web.dev, and you will be able to access it.
It's the old Lighthouse, which just is rebranded, and this is Google's own. So Google owns this one. So
yeah, and remember, if you want to kind of, understand what is happening when it comes to SEO, you should definitely start using Google Search Console.
yeah,
No, that I do.
100%.
That
if
one
you
I
use
get.
Google's, yeah, if you yeah, okay,
Okay,
very
that's
good. So if you use Google Search Console, you will be able to see if there are any deviations from Core Web Vitals. You'll be able to see if there are any, negative, changes in your Lighthouse score. So that will be visible in Google Search Console. It will give you a lot more detailed information because the tool that Mikael showed you, it only checks one page, the one that you insert, and that's it. But Google Search Console spiders like the whole website, and it will
everything.
be able to show you if there are specific
Got
problems
it.
on specific pages.
So maybe you can answer a question that I have, which is most
Yeah.
people that come to our website through Google is because they search Podsqueeze. Why is that?
Because you are not ranking in any other way.
So it's
That's
people
usually
that
the
already
reason.
know about us and they.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's
So-
why I was thinking that when Artem showed you the how podcast and stuff, these kind of keywords, you should also try to write something about because people are for sure searching for AI podcast. Like
Yeah.
everybody wants to start using AI stuff for everything. So for sure there's gonna be now a lot of questions about AI podcast, but for sure there also are not gonna be quite much of competition. Compared to these traditional keyword like
How to make money on podcasts
yeah,
and stuff
exactly,
like
yeah,
that.
exactly, like this. As Google understands that your business is about AI and podcasts, then they can see that it's relevant to what people are searching for. So when you have a lot of articles and tutorials and all this like how to stuff about AI and podcast and this, you're gonna get a lot of relatively easy traffic because that long tail is just not that so much used just because it's so new.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah. So if you think about it, there are branded keywords and there are non-branded keywords. So every single website receives quite a lot of traffic based on branded keywords, and branded keywords are usually your company name, your product name, and stuff like that, right? And usually when people type in Google your company name, that means they already heard about your company. Maybe it's cold email that you sent.
Yeah.
Maybe they heard about it on Indie Hackers, whatever. So branded keywords is not a very good indication of your SEO visibility. Branded keywords is usually a very good indication of your brand and the strength of your brand.
And that's because
basically
of the cold emails.
Yeah. But you should be able and you should want to rank for other keywords like Mikael mentioned, like AI podcast or how to generate
ChatGPT for my podcast.
Yeah, podcast, ChatGPT or something like that. And the best way to do that is to just write really, really good articles. And I can show you
you
just
can
before we
use ChatGPT for that.
I'll use
I
Podsqueeze.
actually been writing.
I'll speak and then get Podsqueeze will generate the article for me.
Exactly. But now you also need to check when you are writing these articles. And sorry, I just cut you there, but you need to, because you're using 3.5. Usually that is getting stuck with AI detectors. So you just need to run it through with ChatGPT 4 and ask it to make more sound like human, so that these AI detectors are not gonna spot you. You can there's plenty of good AI detectors, so just try one and see if it's gonna be detected. Then you should use, because you're not gonna get that ranking juice.
Yeah.
So just a very quick example. So for example, here, as you can see, there is a query Reddit ads beginner's guide, and there are like 82 million search results. So it's pretty competitive. And our article is number one. And the reason, because it's
really
most
well
useful
done.
And like really long and
you have
very
a lot
in-depth.
of pictures. You have a lot of pictures. Do you have actually even a video there? Did I see that, or was is that
there was animation, maybe more than a video, but there was for sure. I know
if you add
100%.
videos, if you add images, and then
there we go.
Yeah, it's a GIF. Is that a GIF?
Yeah, it's I think it's a MOV or MP4 file without sound.
And how many views do you have per day? Just based on that.
I don't remember. I'll be honest with you. I don't remember. But the thing is that it's been like this article in particular was really popular and probably one of the most popular articles. So, like I truly believe in content marketing and like long term, if you think about scalability of your business, for you, it kind of makes a lot of sense. You create really good content, and then at the end of the like blog post or whatever, you are like, hey, try Podsqueeze for free. You have nothing to lose. Get your podcast, get it to another level, elevate your podcast, save time so that you can produce more episodes or you can focus on marketing. So it creates a sales funnel that makes a lot of sense. You create content that attracts podcasters, and then using that content, you put them in your sales funnel where you try to convert them to trial users. And once they're trial users, you convert them to paying customers.
And you can also create this give us your email, and we're gonna teach you in like 10 days. We're gonna send you emails on how you can create your own podcast with Podsqueeze easier than 1, 2, 3. So this kind of like the reason why somebody should put their email account there. That's like the lowest part of the people just engaged, and then this Artem stuff is like the second one there, which is more valuable obviously, but with this you can get a lot of people to your email lists and start generating and nurturing them into paying customers.
Really cool.
And remember, probably one of the best things you can do is you can create a public tool, call it for example free transcription for your podcast or something. No logins, no signups, nothing.
No credit cards.
They just upload file. They just upload file, and then you tell them like, hey, the transcribing is now happening, and then please provide your email, and once it's complete, we will send you the link to the transcription. And then basically in the background, you create a free account for them, transcribe it, and send them the link. So basically, it's like a sales tool, basically.
The free account would see the results.
That's kind of what we're doing now with
there are many
with our free tier, and it's working really well. You don't need to put any credit card. You just need to
but you need to register, so it's not really visible to Google.
True.
But I was thinking that you have something like
you have a stronger
compress. Yes. So, for example, like this tool that is really popular, for example, this compress PDF, right? So if you, for example, just Google compress, like PDF compressor, and the first result is compress PDF. But notice that it doesn't ask you to log in, register. You just click, select PDF, you drop it here, and the tool starts working, right? So the idea was that you could create maybe something like this where people could upload the file, and then it just says like, hey, we're almost there. Give your email address and we will send you a result via email when it's done. And then in the background, what you're actually doing, you are creating a free account for them, putting that file there, getting transcription, and just sending them the information like, hey, your file is transcribed, go check it out, and here is your like access credentials.
Or then you can also create, when you do this, but then you put like one of these, because now that you are giving in your free accounts part, you're gonna give these testimonial. Oh, sorry, what? I'm going to go to my dashboard, gonna see about like quotes and all this. So then you could just put one of those, and so that people gonna already get some results, and then see like, you want to get all these other results as well,
create
your free account and go and check it out. It's already there. So like this
That's
kind
really
of stuff.
Smart. That's really smart. That's
like I would definitely go and like, okay, because I already got something out of it.
Yeah.
Like shit. Okay, this is solid. Yeah. And then the other parts would be blurred. Like create your free account to get the rest of the stuff. And guys, it's free.
Yeah.
It's free. Like, doesn't matter. So then people like, fuck it, okay, we're gonna do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. The possibilities are endless, it seems. So thank you. I really feel that this is the kind of company that we could definitely go for, like raising money and getting a slightly bigger team so that we could explore or exhaust all of these possibilities and grow much faster. It's not something that we are looking for
yeah.
at the moment because we want to keep it lean and grow it like this. But
Lean and mean.
And you get better money in future if you're just not getting a like good user base and good traction. So then you don't have to sell that much of your stocks to investors. So of course you should go without money as long as without funding as long as possible.
But it's already an hour, and we could talk for hours. But Tiago, I think we need to wrap up and let you continue working on new cool features. What I can promise is I already started my upgrade process. I'm gonna upgrade to the $29 a month account, and I'm just gonna give it a shot, and we will use it in our podcast, and we will let you know if there is anything that we run into, or maybe if we have additional questions. But it was really amazing to have you on our podcast. Thank you so much for your time, for your energy, your insight. And remember, guys, if you want to check out Podsqueeze, the link is in the description down below. And again, Tiago, it was an amazing interview. I personally learned a lot, and now I have more credibility to go to my team and say, like, hey guys, how about Google Cloud Functions? Let's go. Let's go. All right.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I feel that I've learned a lot with you guys as well. So thank you so much for having me here in your podcast.